Does Putin need declaration of war to call up reserves, or does he only need such declaration for general mobilization?
He doesn't need a declaration of war. He can just decree it. He can simply say that there's a threat to Russia, and he has the power to simply order mobilization. He has repeatedly ruled this out. So let's not assume that this is going to happen. He doesn't need a declaration of war either to order general mobilization or martial law or any of the things that that have been talked about. But this has been categorically ruled out. And until and unless the situation changes, I can't imagine that this is on anybody's agenda.
Okay, from Red Pill Scholar, what's to happen to the economy? Second Great Depression?
I hope not, but not impossible. If we start to get into an interest rate increases at the same time as there's continued downward pressure on wages because of the inflation crisis, which remember is largely supply based. And given the enormous amount of debt around, the excessive amount of leverage, then as I've said in other places, the recession could be grisly. Now, whether that would be an outright depression, well, that frankly, I'm not even going to try and speculate about. But it could be very, very tough. The economic decision makers, the Fed, and all of those need to make some very careful decisions over the next few months. And given the shambles at the heart of power in the Biden administration, and the fact that the president himself remains in denial, we can't be confident that the correct decisions will be made.
All right, Orlando Santos, thank you for that super chat. Tupac, thank you for that super sticker. Gordana, thank you for that super sticker. Warwagon, thank you for that super chat. Pinyamamba, thank you for that super sticker. Mark Hewitt says Ukraine first, then Taiwan, Kashmir next.
Yeah, Kashmir. I'm not quite sure where that falls into this whole list, but I mean there is certainly a long-standing conflict in Kashmir, and I couldn't be surprised if neocon. Well, let's not call them friends. The neocons find some kind of devilry they can play there, specifically, especially if the Indian government refuses to do what they want them to do. I mean, the Indian government is refusing to go along with the sanctions war against Russia. And the latest word is that they're now working towards a massive, comprehensive economic trade partnership with Russia for cheap energy in return and also consumer goods and other things. So, don't underestimate the mischief the neocons could do. And Kashmir provides them with a wonderful opportunity to create that mischief if they choose to.
All right, Pinyamamba, thank you for that super sticker. Charlie says, is it just me or did Putin take longer than usual commemorating the hero cities of Sevastopol and Odessa after he laid their flowers on Victory Day?
I don't think it took him longer, but it was very interesting again to see which, hero cities, because of course, hero cities include Odessa um, and Kiev, I believe, amongst the others. And of course, in his actual Victory Day speech, he was very careful to refer to Odessa, Kiev, and Kharkiv amongst the cities where the fighting happened in the Second World War. Now, I think this is essentially another expression that they belong to the Russian world, the Ruski Mir, which is, of course, the concept that the Polish authorities are now committed to wanting to destroy.
All right. Trevelyan, thank you for that super chat. Ines Fad says, how do you build back better unless you destroy all first? If you understand the destruction of the West is being done purposefully, then it makes sense. All in line with the WEF.
Well, I'm not going to even comment on that very intelligent and insightful statement, other than to say that it is intelligent and insightful. I mean, building back better, as you absolutely correctly say, if you apply English grammar, implies destroying what was there before.
All right. Colbury, thank you for that super sticker. Megawatt, thank you for that super sticker. Eric, thank you for that super sticker. James Johnson says, how relevant is Quigley's The Evolution of Civilizations as a roadmap for elites to take down the West?
I haven't read it. I'm not familiar with it, so I'm not going to comment further. I mean, people bring up these things. I'm afraid I haven't read every book, and I'm not going to comment on it without getting some knowledge of this. Um, um, Elites that bring down their own civilization doom themselves. That's the iron law of history. They may think that they're going to replace it with something that they will control, but they are invariably wrong.
All right, Emmanuel, thank you for that super chat. Grim FPV says they expanded the NATO doctrine to keep USA in, Russia out, Germany and all European countries down.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that. It's absolutely spot on.
RD Doctor says turning Soviet republics into nation states failed.
Yes. I mean, look, let's not talk about all Soviet republics. I mean, Georgia is a nation. Armenia is a nation. You can talk about Georgia and Armenia being real nation states. I think in the case of Ukraine, it's not really worked. I'm frankly skeptical about Belarus in the long term. And in Central Asia, it's created many, many problems. Lenin's nationality policies have been a disaster. Putin has said as much. Stalin warned him that they would be. They had a major row about this in Lenin's last years. Lenin was incredibly dogmatic. He refused to listen to anybody who warned him that this would turn out badly. And now we see the result.
From Viva Frey, sorry for overlapping, gents, listening and catching up now. Godspeed. Thank you, Viva Frey.
Thank you.
Svinstead says, in Denmark, we get to vote next month on to keep or remove our defense reservation that we have with the EU. They play dirty and really want the EU army.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Denmark decides to do. And of course, Denmark is an important country and it has important decisions to make. I mean, it's held off from the EU up to now. But I would also say that there are several people, and I know that there are people within the EU who think this. And of course, the Russians absolutely think this. They think that the Danish deep state, addressing somebody from Denmark, that the Danish deep state is very much a British-American Trojan horse within the EU anyway. So that we'll see what people in Denmark want to do and how that will work out.
Stephen Bateman says, America makes me sick.
No, it shouldn't make you sick. It shouldn't make you sick. It's still a great nation and a great country. I mean, there are lots of bad things there, but it should certainly not make you sick. It remains, for me, a place of hope, even if sometimes that hope is massively disappointed.
RDDR says, is Mr. Mercouris familiar with Dominique Lacerda?
No, I'm not familiar with Dominique Lacerda. Who is Dominique Lacerda? You must let me know. Send us an email about this person because I'm not sure who this person is. Sorry.
Chris Walford says, I always enjoy your program, guys. Alexander, please expand on what collapse of empire and reconstruction might look like and what we could expect to see when it happens.
If we get a collapse, by which I take it you mean the collapse of empire, the American empire. Well, what I would hope would happen, and what I actually believe will happen in that instance, is that the United States would eventually sort itself out. It remains a country with enormous assets, and it would hopefully, and this is my hope, return to something much closer to the ideas that the founders, people like Madison and Hamilton, perhaps more than others, had when the United States was created, Washington too, by the way, which was that, it becomes a proper constitutional republic, minding its own affairs, focusing on the best interests of its people. In other words, America first. The enormous danger is that instead of that happening, what might happen is that, as empire collapses, that will increase instabilities within the United States itself, create enormous tensions there, and might accelerate a downward spiral. Now, I don't believe that will happen, but the danger that that may happen is there. But one way or the other, it's for the American people to decide, and the American people need to decide, I think, and understand that empire, for most Americans, is not a source of benefit or a source of strength. It's a source of weakness and a burden.
Stevo Polkakov says, can the populist movement in the USA gain enough power before it is too late? Unfortunately, I feel that unless USA is saved, the world will soon fall.
You're quite right about one thing, which is that the United States remains a pivotal country. I'm not going to say that, if the United States goes down, everyone else goes down with it. I think the world is big. The United States is only a part of the world, but the United States is a pivotal country. Whether the populist movement can get itself organized quickly enough and successfully enough in order to pull things round, well, that remains to be seen. I can't predict everything, nor can we on the Duran. It's, as I said, ultimately for Americans to decide. But at least there is a pushback in the United States. At least in the United States, there is a genuine opposition, such as you just don't see anywhere in Europe anymore, except to a certain extent in France, but very mildly in France, and of course in Hungary.